Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. We got some more 2A news for you here, and this one comes out of Ammo Land, again, from our friend, Mr. John Crump. I do like to report on a lot of things that Ammo Land is sharing because they do such great reporting, and I'm a real big fan of John Crump's work, and I always like to support his work in every way I can. So I always like to read his articles to the best of my ability and then offer some insight, and people have really liked this type of format, so we're definitely going to keep it going for y'all. And big thanks to Ammo Land for being just such a pillar in the community. They do such great work, and they've also even allowed me to write an op-ed here or there, so good folks over there. Make sure you support them. This one is entitled, ATF Employee Caught Gun Running to Mexico. Now, John, which time? Is it? I mean, this has happened more than one time, so I'm assuming this is new because this is October 24th, 2023. This is a new article, so we're going to break into this. Before we get started, I would like to thank our friends at Sonoran Desert Institute for supporting our videos. SDI has some awesome programs if you're looking to get into gunsmithing as a career. They have awesome curriculum, wonderful instructors. It's a great distance learning program. Very, very, very awesome. Also, if you want to learn how to fly drones, do reloading, they've got a ton of other awesome programs they offer as well, in addition to gunsmithing. Gunsmithing's their main forte. Check them out, Sonoran Desert Institute, SDI, and tell them we sent you. They are a long-term supporter of the channel, and a big thanks to them for supporting our efforts here and supporting the Second Amendment community. All right, we're going to break into this. A former ATF investigator has been accused of running guns to Mexico, and the ATF has been accused of trying to cover it up. Jose Luis Meneses, a Mexican national, was hired by the ATF as an investigator working out of the U.S. consulate in Tijuana. His job was to help the ATF stop gun running from the United States to Mexico, but instead of trying to solve the problem, he admitted to running gun parts across the border to 3 men, including his brother, who is a police officer, a state judicial official, and a former member of Mexico's military. Look, if you don't know, corruption in Mexico is a huge problem, so don't be surprised. This is actually pretty common down there. According to an ATF whistleblower who turned over information to Senator Chuck Grassley's office, Mr. Menendez, I'm probably going to mispronounce this gentleman's name. I'm very sorry for that. Starting in 2017, would take a car with diplomatic license plates and drive it over the border to California. The ATF employee would visit a gun shop and purchase firearms parts. The gun shop is not named or accused of doing anything illegal. The gun shop was who notified the consulate of the suspicious activity. Got you. He would drive the car loaded with the gun parts back across the border to Mexico. Because the car had diplomatic license plates, it was not searched at the border. The ATF would then sell the parts to the 3 men. Senator Grassley's office is concerned that the firearms could be sold to a Mexican criminal underworld. His letter states that the drug cartels regularly purchase firearms with Mexican military members, and the military member in question did resell the rifles, although it is unclear who was the final buyer of the AR pattern rifles. He further admitted that he purchased and trafficked firearms for at least 3 people in Mexico: his brother, who was a retired police officer, a state judicial official, and a man identified as Romero, a former member of the Mexican military. The memo states that Romero would complete the AR rifles in Mexico to further sell and traffic the firearms to others in Mexico. According to media reports at the time, it was widely known that Mexican drug cartels would recruit current and former Mexican military personnel to be enforcers to carry out violent attacks on behalf of cartels. Violent crimes have skyrocketed in Mexico as cartels fight over territory and the lucrative drug trade. Murders are at an all-time high, and citizens live in fear. Mexico has strict gun control, preventing most law-abiding Mexicans from acquiring firearms for self-defense. These laws do not prevent the violent cartels from getting their hands on everything from handguns to miniguns. Mexico claims most of the firearms used by narco-terrorist groups flow across the border from the United States. The Mexican government makes the bold claim that 70% of all guns used in crime were smuggled into Mexico from the United States. There is no way to verify these claims without Mexico releasing its documentation, which they have not been willing to do so far. The Mexican government accuses the U.S. government of not doing enough to stem the flow of firearms to our southern border. ATF cut ties with Menendez and drafted a memo of notice for the Mexican government. The agency then purposely chose not to send the information and intentionally left the Mexican government in the dark. Senator Grassley wrote to the ATF over concerns the Bureau was actively ignoring criminal actions committed by its employees. If these protected disclosures are true and accurate, they illustrate a failure by the ATF to hold its employees accountable for criminal misconduct, Grassley's letter reads. This situation isn't the first time the ATF has mirrored in allegations of gun running. During the Obama administration, the ATF let guns filter across the border under Eric Holder's Operation Fast and Furious. Guns that the ATF let cross the border were used to murder multiple people, including Border Patrol agent Brian Terry in December of 2010. Mexico is demanding a full investigation into Menendez and his alleged crimes. They do not believe that the United States did enough in its investigation. We will demand they get to the bottom of this in order to bring those responsible to justice, and that this type of action never happens again, a Mexican official said. One U.S. official said everything was handled properly. Even though the man did not bring in enough parts to assemble 8 AR rifles to sell to criminals, the embassy insisted firing him and revoking his access was enough punishment. The embassy found out about suspicious activity, revoked compound access within a day, did an investigation, and fired him within a month. It's terrible that it happened, but this is exactly how it's supposed to work, a U.S. official said. There are still many questions left to be answered. When the ATF has been coming down hard on people for such things, selling a picture of a lightning link, how does it let one of its own off the hook for gun running? You know, here's the reality of the situation. And look, people aren't going to like to hear this, but this is the reality. We have hundreds of thousands of people crossing the border every single freaking week in this country. They are literally pouring into this place, undocumented, right? There's no telling what they're bringing with them. There's no telling what they got on their back. They're bringing backpacks full of fentanyl. They're bringing kids and women that they're selling into the slave and sex trade. They're doing all kinds of unsavory things. And while I understand that the Mexican government is concerned about firearms coming over the U.S. border to Mexico, we have many, 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 many more problems that are much deeper and more important that we have to be concerned about than what is leaving the country. We need to be worried about what's coming into the country, okay? You know, these folks, if they can sneak into the country, they can sneak out of the country too. They can go back to Mexico. So while this is, yes, this is hypocritical on the ATF, because they're the people that are supposed to enforce firearms laws or whatever. They're supposed to be, you know, the holier than thou, greater than thou entity that, oh, we can never do any wrong. And then when you find one of them slipping up and doing something wrong and getting caught, you go, wow, yeah, you guys are scumbags just like anybody else might be given the chance, right? Yes, it is hypocritical. Yes, you do want to point the finger and go, you bastards are a bunch of liars and hypocrites. Yes, and while that is true, right? And while this person did get caught, think about how many probably haven't gotten caught. Think about how much this stuff happens all the time, every single day as common practice, right? If someone can sneak across the border with a backpack of fentanyl, they can sneak back across the border with a backpack of AR uppers or a backpack of grips or a backpack of parts kits or a backpack of guns. It literally is impossible to stem the flow of this type of stuff in either direction if we don't have a secure border. So it's all a moot point. Okay, you're going to take this guy's diplomatic tag and fire him and take his credentials. All right, that's all good and fine. They'll find someone else. They'll find another coyote to bring something across the border, and it's just going to be what it's going to be. And the fact of the matter is, while yes, it sucks that this guy, you know, was supposed to be doing the honorable thing and got caught doing something. Well, at the end of the day, building a gun is not a crime anyway. So it's like, I would argue that while they're angry that their gun control is completely, you know, made ineffective by criminal activity, well, the same could be said here. I mean, you could pass all the gun control you want. You could say that if you possess a gun, you need to be shot in the head immediately by the first person you see, and it wouldn't change a thing. It wouldn't keep people from owning guns. It wouldn't change anything. Look, people are going to do what people are going to do. People have their vices. People have their needs, right? You will never stop enterprise. You will never stop business. You will never stop human behavior. And when are these people going to realize that you can't regulate morality? You just can't. So, that's great reporting, and I'm very happy to see those stories kind of getting out, because it does show, the clear ill intent and it may not even be malicious intent, but it shows the incompetence of the ATF, right? And what happened in Fast and Furious back in 2010, I lived through that. I remember it. I remember hearing about it on the news. That's some terrible stuff. To think that our government thinks so little of literal justice. We're not talking about just what the law is supposed to provide. We're talking about what's right and wrong. They have such a skewed idea of right and wrong that they're willing to put their own people in danger, and did put their own people in danger, up to and including the life of a Border Patrol agent. It really goes to show you that for these people, the ends always justify the means. And I think that it's very important that people be careful with folks like the ATF. They need to be careful with the government. Don't talk to the government. Don't talk to the ATF. Don't talk to the FBI. Don't talk to law enforcement. You don't answer questions, because at the end of the day, these people's moral compass is so messed up that they don't even, their recollection of what right and wrong is downright devilish. So I would never assume that any of these people have your best interests in mind, because they clearly do not. They don't even have a good sense of right and wrong and justice in the truest, deep-rooted human sense. What makes you think they can do the right thing in regards to your individual liberty? Someone who they can make the next notch in their political belt to climb the ladder and to get to the top of the ivory tower, which is really all these people want. They're narcissists, y'all. They're narcissists. They don't care about you. They care about their own individual careers. They care about getting the promotion. They care about getting the notch in their belt. They care about their check and their retirement fund and their retirement plan and their 401k. They're worried about their own existential issues. And that doesn't involve your freedom. That doesn't involve your liberty. All they know is they have a badge and a gun, and they have the ability to wield that power in a way that suits them, that benefits their careers. They do not give a rat's about you. You need to keep that in the back of your mind. Thank you so much. Many more videos on the way. I hope you all have a great day. Look, keep your head up. It's going to be all right, y'all. All right? Don't get all bent out of shape over too much. Just keep your wits about you. Be prepared, Arm yourself. Stay vigilant. It's really not that difficult, y'all. Just keep a low profile and don't make a big deal about too much, But this is definitely a travesty. And look, I hate to say it, but this kind of stuff happens all the time. So just bear in mind, it's a dangerous world out there with a lot of bad people in it. You need to be paying attention to them. Have yourselves a great day. Many more videos on the way. We'll see you soon.